Check 1 2. Check. Testing 1 2. Check. Sorry, yeah, it's already recording. Doing a sound check, and the guests are in the next room finishing some food. So how loud is that? That should be plenty loud. And this one's okay. Yep, that's plenty loud. All right. We're already recording, just so you know. They're just coming in hot. What's that? No, they can. No, it won't pick up what you guys are saying. No. No, I was aware of that. No, it definitely is not picking that up. Hell no. These are dynamic mics, not condenser studio mics.
Because I was like, that's the one thing I've said all day that really should not be on it.
I was on it, man.
Investigations.
Heather, grab another White Claw if you want. Just so we can settle down.
Yeah, you got a DD.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
That's my most dangerous time is when I have a DD.
Oh, shit. She's going to get crazy.
We're just going to sit here and they're just going to berate us.
Just keep it, move it about a...
Is the dog allowed on the couch?
No, hell no. But she'll
This is
try.
a nice couch. I wanted to ask.
Just about a fist from your face. That's where you want it. Yeah.
I do three
And you move it around, bring it closer. Oh, sorry. You know this stuff. I'm sorry.
No,
That's
you do your
insulting.
thing, Ken. This is fun. I don't normally get to sit on this end, so it's a new experience. And
Oh, that's right, because you're usually the producer, kind of. Yeah, okay. And you know how to work that if you need to adjust it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They had
yes!
Jello shots at the party.
That's from leftover from the party, and my daughter seriously was like, please go through them. They're taking up space in her fridge.
She came up to me at the party.
I mean, I don't think she made them super strong.
No,
I tried one, and they were just fine. So
But it was funny watching her walk around at the party.
yeah, she bought that outfit for it. Oh my god, it was great. I thought it was awesome. But like she dressed.
She came up to me with a tray of Jello shots, and I was standing by myself, like in the middle of the concert, watching. I was like, I think I'm good. And she was like, I figured. And she stood there for a bit. It was fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she totally thought about it. There.
I can go closer too.
There you go. Yep, that's it. Heather, you have to say something.
I have to say something. Can you hear me good?
Oh my god, you got the best mic.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
yes,
All right.
Yes.
And I'll do the least amount of talking because Chance has not done this before, so I'll let him talk as much as he
Yeah,
wants.
we'll probably.
I've talked into a microphone.
Well, no, we haven't done the podcast.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But we have, we focused on Heather. So yeah, we said we were going to call out our super close, amazing friends that didn't show up tonight. No names, but it was supposed to be.
I'll say their names.
It was supposed to be me and Heather and another coworker that were going to actually do the podcast, while Chance and two of his friends were going to be in the studio downstairs, like doing a jam session. And I was thinking that'd be the coolest thing ever. I've never had a podcast where I had like a band for background music playing. I mean, it probably wouldn't pick it up. It might actually a little bit.
hear the
But the
drums.
ambiance would be
Something.
so cool.
That would be pretty cool.
And so, yeah, we don't.
Third
Our
time?
friends failed us tonight.
I've learned two things: is that I don't have friends, and also I was not invited to be on the podcast until it was like last resort. So
Okay, now you're playing the guilt trip.
Yeah.
Stop it. Oh my god.
I could walk on. Uber's not that expensive.
Oh
yeah.
my god. And I guarantee Heather never said she didn't want you on it. And I'm sorry if I didn't invite you yet, but I was too busy trying to get you connected to Alex so you
For
could
sure.
check out the studio and start playing there. Oh my
I
gosh.
appreciate it. I love being around.
And I know you're
people
just-
who are doing things.
I
and
know
I'm
you're
happy
just
to be
busting
here.
my balls. I'm just messing with you.
Always. It's a bad habit.
No, it's a good habit that keeps everything lighthearted. So Heather has been on a podcast before. Everybody should have watched that one. She's awesome. And then Chance, I also work with. But I should know this. Well, actually, maybe there's no reason I would. You didn't. You were hired before Heather, I think.
The
You've
long
been there,
before.
like as long as me. Did we get hired both in 2017?
I was hired in April of 2018.
Oh, so you were okay? Because I was October of 2017, and you were
October of 2020.
okay.
Yeah.
So we're like 6 months apart, basically, kind of.
Oh, no kidding.
Kind of October 2017 to March,
Yeah,
and then
March, April.
2020. So I'm
So
a
she's got
couple
a couple
years.
years.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
not doing the math. Not listening. It's
How
bad-
could you?
That's a
How
bad
could
trait
you?
for a podcast host.
Yeah, no, October 2020. So like end of masks mandate and whatnot. And I think I had about 6
Oh,
months with them. I
right.
couldn't tell you what any of my coworkers looked like, and then we took them off for a while, and then we
Yes,
put them
that's
back
a weird time to
on.
come
I
in,
couldn't.
actually.
Yeah, I was surprised at what you look like. I was like, that's
Because-
not what I expected. The bottom half of
No,
her face,
and-
or even Chance. Well, no, I think I knew Chance before that. So
You're
that-
one of
Yeah.
the few that knew me before I was
Yeah.
a supervisor. I did all that.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, you did scowl at members sometimes.
Oh yeah. That's like how I get through the day, man. I
That's
have
your
fun
default
doing
mode.
that. Less so now.
Now
But
I'm kidding. You guys are both awesome employees. We're just busting balls, and
Yeah.
we all love our jobs at Costco. Hail Costco.
Sure.
Welcome to Costco. We love you.
But again, I know I can't remember. We talked about this the first time you came over, but I know you spent time up in Bellingham before you ended up back down here, but I can't remember where you actually grew up.
I'm from Vancouver, Washington.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up in Vancouver, Washington. I think I was born in Portland. Yeah, family was from the Dalles. That's where my mom moved from.
Okay.
Got a job at a church in Vancouver when I think I was 1 year old.
She did, not you.
Correct. The church was my first job though.
Okay.
Yeah, I started working at the nursery there. But yeah, we moved over here and then yeah, that was it. She just built a community around her family here and
Okay.
then grew up here. Took a gap year after high school.
To do the
traveled in
music thing or just
Afri-
travel?
To travel. We had a family friend who invited me to stay with him in Africa, and so I took that.
I don't
on.
remember hearing about this. For
Yeah.
like how long were you in Africa?
I think when did I leave? I think in total it was 8 months, 9 months.
And what part of Africa?
The DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
And that
So
would be
dead center. It's,
okay.
so Kenya
Yep.
is on the east coast.
Yes.
Kenya, Uganda, and then Congo
Okay.
or the DRC. Yeah, because there is
And
also Congo.
Were you over there doing like missionary work, or was it just like a
so
outward bound thing?
The family I moved with are missionaries, right?
Okay.
So they were born to missionary families. They met, husband and wife met at boarding school in Kenya.
Okay.
So I've always described them as world citizens. They've traveled everywhere. The gentleman who invited me, he was United States. He has citizenships to Canada, the U.S. I don't know if he's a Kenyan citizen, honestly,
if
but he was
he's-
born in Kenya.
Oh,
okay.
that's insane to have more than one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was working on his dissertation. He's a Congolese historian. That's what he went and was working on his dissertation and
Oh wow.
working on research and invited me along to just my experience was you just get to go experience, right? So there was a university there. I audited those classes because the language barrier was tough for me.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
But you
and-
could sit in the classes, not get credit, but you could just sit in and
Yeah, it's also a totally different system, right?
yeah.
So I would have to probably interview and test out like classes if I really wanted a lot of that too. But at the time, I was 18. I was not worried about transcripts. I'm like, I'm going out and I get to do. I don't have to sit in. I was like, I'm gonna take a gap year not to sit in lectures and go out and do.
You just
something.
wanted to experience it because it was
Yeah.
a completely new environment.
Well, and also I was living with his family, so they really made me like, you're part of the family. He took his kids with him as well.
Okay.
I can't remember how. I think they were 6 and 4.
Oh wow.
So younger kids. So I was, with them a lot. But a great experience.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm a terrible student, and
But especially at the age of 18, to have that kind of mind expanding and perception expanding experience, which
Yeah.
a lot of American, I guess a lot of people around the world don't ever get a chance to, but it will change your perception and perspective to go to another country, completely different than what you grew up in.
I was talking to another coworker the other day, and we just ran through each other's lives everywhere she's lived, and
Several different countries.
more than I ever would have guessed.
Oh, wow.
All over the world.
Military brat?
No, not
Just
at all.
happened to travel a lot. Wow.
Yeah, she's.
Well, then don't give too much away.
Yeah,
That would, yeah.
But a bit born in Mexico and then lived in Scotland, in Amsterdam, all like
That is
different
so
places
cool.
in the
Very
United
cool.
States for years, right?
That
And
is super cool.
nothing I would have ever expected. So that was fascinating to learn about.
Oh my god.
But, yeah, I was never a good student, and so having the opportunity to be like, oh, I can take a break from school.
Well, that's because you're a musician. They're never good students.
That's not true.
I
know some musicians who are very good students to a fault. Yeah, but I was able, like, it was kind of like a one-on-one life mentorship with someone who was really working and wanting to do big things. And I just got to be there and be part of his crew and be part of his team. And they were very kind and patient with me because I'm an 18-year-old. I don't speak the language. Like, I isolated quick when I was there.
Right.
And they really pushed me. We tried to do language intensives, but I could never get French. They spoke French there, and that just never clicked.
Oh, like proper French, or did it have a slant to it?
A slant to it.
Okay.
For sure. And then Swahili. And even then, like, so I learned Swahili. I picked that up quicker.
Okay.
And then finally I was like, and they could tell I was like depressed. I was in a new place. I couldn't interact with anyone, right? We had a limited existence for a time. And he kicked me out of the house. He said, go get gas. He's like, figure it out.
He's just telling you to
he's
go
like,
out.
he's like, you have to do something.
Engage with the
He's like,
environment.
go get gas. And I'm like, I don't know if I know the words. And he's like, here's 3 words. Here's how you say gas, you know. And like, we went over the language again. And he kicked me out on my own. It was like the first time because we were always together, right?
Yeah.
Because there's safety concerns and all that as well. But he kicked me out on my own, and I came back. Like, I was successful. I figured it out. And the people in the town saw me trying and like wanted to help take care of me.
So if you want to learn to swim, they throw you in the lake. That's what it is.
Language, absolutely. The only reason I ever picked up Swahili that fast is because I had to.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone there wants to help you to learn it. Right. That's something
cool.
that's different. Everyone's like really.
So
there's kind of a class divide in the languages a little bit.
I'd be curious about their perception or their opinion of Americans over there.
Of like us going over there, or their opinion?
No, just in general, what they think of America.
Yeah, there's.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, you can never say in like general, and we didn't have. There's a lot of conspiracies that really ring true, like things that we would think were crazy. Like, there's a big one where one of the ones I heard about was everyone's got a microchip, and the microchip like has the devil in it, and we all have it in our necks or whatever.
Right.
And that one like blew up virally in like. On the internet, we don't see it, right? Because we're in a totally different.
You mean over there it did?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. But what year was that? If you were 18, what is that? 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
But they did have in the city. They had internet. Did they? I mean, I'm trying to think what was around back. Smartphones and was Facebook was a thing. Was Instagram a thing in 2013? I don't. What were they using?
All those things were around. It's how do I describe it? It's
Did they have?
And again, you have to remember, I was like in a unique place, so I don't want any of this to come across as like generalizations about the whole country. Or
You're
anything.
only talking about the experience in your locale that
exactly,
you were at. Yes.
And the few friends I made and whatnot.
Yes.
So I don't want to speak because like there's internet in Congo, right?
Okay.
Was there a ton where we were? No. So like the university was new and they just were building a computer lab. And that was like the biggest and the most. It was a huge deal, right? They were building this huge university, and it only, at the time only had like 550 students in it, and that university was the only place in town where they were, I think, actively teaching English to students.
Okay.
And so on the campus, you actually weren't allowed to speak Swahili. You were
because they wanted you to learn English.
They wanted you to learn English, and then French is considered, kind of a more academic language.
Okay.
But I didn't know
it's
that.
A romantic
so
language.
My first day, I'm the only white guy in this school.
Was everybody else in the school locals?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Different.
But they were welcoming to you.
Absolutely.
That is so cool.
Yeah. But I didn't know the rules about the language, so I get up there and everyone's going up and introducing themselves in French or in English.
Okay.
And I go up and I'm like, okay, like not everyone knows English. I definitely don't know French. I'm learning Swahili, and so I did my whole introduction.
Was that kind of a taboo thing to do?
I think people were really into it, and they gave me a lot of grace, right?
Okay.
But it was definitely like no one else could have done that, and it'd been like undisciplined.
But they also understood that you didn't know.
Yeah, and it was me introducing myself, and honestly, it was like a lot of the other students there, I think, were lit up about it. And, like,
it's been a while. Not that long. Do you still remember? Can you introduce yourself in Swahili? I just want to hear it and get it on video.
What can I say?
And get close when you say it.
How do I introduce myself? What do they call me? Oh, well,
it's been 10 years, so.
Yeah. They called me Bon Chance. Because
what is it?
Bon Chance, which is good luck in French.
Bon Chance?
Yeah.
Bon Chance.
Yeah. B-O-N and then chance, because chance is just a French word. So
but chance, they don't do the hard H, I guess, or is that a hard
so.
C? But
not
chance, it was chance.
Yeah, bon chance
Bon chance.
is what they called me because it was the closest thing to my name. Because they could.
That is so cool.
That's how they understood it because it was French. But I'm sorry, I forgot what you asked me.
How did you introduce yourself in Swahili?
Oh, I was so much better at that. Habari is like, what's up? What's the news?
You just say when you see somebody, Habari.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, what's up, man?
So I think I led with that.
I'm Bon
Gina
chance.
Yangu.
Say that again. Sorry, I talked over you.
I gotta remember. You're putting me on the spot.
That's
Gina
what the
Yang-
podcast
what'd
is
I say?
about.
Gina Yangu Bon Chance. Tutazungunza Pole Pole Kwamimi, which means we have to talk slowly. So I said, sorry, we have to talk slowly for me.
That
That's
is so
cute.
I
cool.
think
That
I started
sounds
with that.
really cool.
And then, but at the time I knew more, so I went like, I'm from here. I'm excited to be
Okay.
here. I gave up like gave the introduction.
So was that's interesting though that Swahili was easier for you to pick up, and do you know why? Was it? It doesn't sound like it's closer to English, but maybe it is. I don't know.
It
Is there
just
something
made
about
more
the
sense.
flow of it?
It made more sense to me logically. So like the way Swahili works is, if I remember correctly, a word is the whole sentence.
Oh,
So like I can't remember exactly.
so it's a very
like
economical.
tutazungumza. What I said, tutazungumza is we will talk,
Okay.
right? And so then you add beginning at the other thing. So tuta is, and then it's all past and present, right? So you just learn the beginning, middle, and end of words, and then you
Okay.
learn the past and presents for each of those.
So
And
it's
then you can-
it's almost a more economical use of words.
Yeah,
and
I-
it flows easier.
I think the real reason I was really into it is I struggled with French. I gave up on that quick. It was
Yeah.
much harder.
French isn't so bad.
It didn't work.
I
for
took
me.
it in high school.
Oh,
and
go.
then, like,
So now it's Heather's turn.
no, I don't remember.
Say something in
anything.
French.
No, je m'appelle is like, hello, my name is this, and then
What is it? No,
je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Yeah, so je is like I am,
Okay.
or je suis is I am.
Okay.
And then to be honest, that's all I remember. Like I said, 10 years ago. I
You're
took it in high
lying. You
school.
remember stuff.
Well, I remember two things. I don't know if that really counts. I couldn't
Does
string
not-
together a
it does
sentence.
not count as speaking a language.
No,
That's
not at
how I
all.
The
If
on-
someone asked me, "Can you speak French?" I would say no, except for
the only
two
French.
phrases.
I don't even know if it's actually French. It's just from an old Eddie Murphy comedy special in the '80s when he was talking about how like French is the best language because you can say anything in French and it just sounds cool.
It does.
Like you can
yeah.
say "Je vais te say poo poo," which means I have to shit. I don't even know if that means I have to shit, but
You convinced me.
Yeah.
I thought
You got
we,
the
I
je
thought, I
part,
thought we were about
so
to
that'll
take a
count.
break.
I've obviously watched his first comedy special, Delirious, way too many times because I've memorized almost the entire thing. But I think what he was saying was "Je vais te say poo poo," something like that. Am I even close, Heather?
I'm not gonna know. They didn't teach me that. Of all the things my French teacher taught me, that was not it. She was cool though. I loved her as a teacher. Didn't
And that
pick up
was
on the
in
language.
High school, right?
Yeah, high school. I think junior, senior year. So I took French 1, French 2. We had to take 2 years of
And was
language.
it-
You liked her, you said?
I liked her a lot. Like, she was great.
Was
Even
it a
outside of
full
being a teacher.
year of French both years, or like a term or semester each year? Or
Took up about half of the year. I feel like high school is so long ago now that I'm like, what? How do they split it up? Trimesters? Semesters?
did
What
you
is that, two?
seriously just say in front of me that high school was so long ago?
It feels 10 years
What do you
feels like a
want-
long
what do you want
time.
from us, Gavin?
Yeah.
Respect. I'm kidding. I'm
Is
fucking with
10
you
years
guys.
not long? I feel like it's long. A
Fucking-
decade? I don't
It
know.
gets
Fucking
shorter.
kids
10 years,
these days.
10 years gets shorter.
The gosh damn kids these days.
this summer was we didn't have anything, but was our 10-year reunion.
Oh yeah,
Right.
mine was too, and I didn't hear anything about it, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know
So-
if I'd go anyways."
You both had 10-year reunions this year,
Yeah, but
but you
different
didn't go to the
schools.
same high school.
No, but Chance and I, if I had never moved to Battleground, we would have gone to the same school. So,
So what
don't-
high
I
school
don't
did you go to?
The Vancouver School of Arts and Academics.
That's right. You told me that. Never mind.
That was,
I remember
that was
now.
middle school and high school.
Yes, but and you went to
I ended up going to Battleground High School. 'Cause
Okay.
My parents moved out there.
okay. But you guys were in the same class. The
Yeah,
you
we graduated
the
same year. Yeah, 2013.
But you all didn't know each other until you met at Costco.
Until Costco.
That's so fun.
And why did we hang out?
Like, well,
nicest
yeah,
way,
just
like,
to irritate
what-
each other or to entertain each other. Sorry, I mean you can put whatever spin on that you want.
Let's call it entertaining.
Sounds like the
It's
car ride over
entertaining
here
to
was
me.
awesome because Heather kept messing with Chance, to make him feel like she didn't want him to be on the podcast, and then Chance would fire back.
She messes with me by being honest, and so she just told me that. And
That's not what she said.
and then
You
I
are
had
so
to-
lying. She didn't say she didn't want you to be on the podcast.
I just had to internalize and deal
So
with that.
this is where you're putting the spin on, like fucking
Yeah,
Bill O'Reilly.
and then he
the
makes
spin
me
factor.
look like a crazy lady. So
No, he doesn't. And she never said that she didn't want you on the podcast. That's what you heard.
She said, "I will be uncomfortable if you're there."
And finally, the truth comes
That's
out,
not
even though
what
I
I
don't think
said.
that's what she said. But so, what's your next attempt to add bullshit? Because she never said this. I think what she said was, "Oh, I'm kind of nervous about it." You know, the first. I don't even know if you referenced the first time.
No,
She
we-
probably was like, "Oh, I'll be kind of nervous."
We-
And in his head, he spun it around, going, "Oh, she doesn't want me on the podcast."
We tease each other a lot, and the first and foremost is like I'm gonna be respectful about what she actually wants. And so if I knew,
But are you able to actually interpret all of these comments to what she really
I went
wants?
to her later outside of like any other conversation. It was like, hey,
Like
I wanna
being
actu-
serious.
yeah,
look at,
I want to
focus.
actually know. Are you okay with me being there? And she was like, oh yeah, totally.
And I knew that
Can't
because
be
I
on the
pulled her aside
couch.
after and asked her.
But she keeps talking about it.
it's too
Why
much
do you have to
fun. I
pick on
have
us
a
poor
great
men?
time.
We're dumb. We're kind of slow, Heather.
I
Men
have
are
to
slow.
entertain myself somehow.
That's not
It's
fair.
true. I
You're
know.
taking advantage of our lack of IQ points and lack of quick wit, and which neither one of us have. We're
My
actually
mom's
both.
been on a kick recently and has continually multiple times each phone call told me that now I'm old enough. My prefrontal cortex is fully developed.
That she's not lying.
No,
'Cause it
And
does not
She's
fully-
like, you think totally differently now,
It
and
does
you're
not
done.
fully develop until your early to mid 20s. This is
Yeah.
a real thing. This is why God bless 18 to 23-year-olds because they have a ton of passion. We might have talked about this on your
Yeah, a little
podcast.
bit, yeah.
They have a ton of passion and energy. God bless them, and they want the best. They have no wisdom and life experience. And their brain isn't fully developed to actually do critical thinking. So they come up with these they think are awesome ideas that are just not realistic. So you got to have both. So I agree with
Yeah.
your mom. What's your mom's name?
Becky.
Becky. You
Oh,
rock, Becky.
Oh,
Amen.
she's gonna be the first one all over this.
Oh, I bet. And then
I don't think
we'll
my
book
parents
her.
ever watched mine.
They haven't?
No, I don't
Do
think
they
so.
even know you did it?
Yeah, I told them about it, but then they were like,
So
"That's
they could
cool."
find it on YouTube or Spotify
Yeah,
if they wanted to.
if they wanted to.
But they don't want to?
Can take.
They
everyone.
didn't
No, I
seek
didn't.
it out. They. I told them, my mom was like, "Wow, that's so cool that you did that." She did love that I did it. She's like, "I love that you do new things," but it didn't go much farther than that. She wasn't like, "And can I see it?" It was like, "I love that for you," and then that was about it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, maybe there's a lot of people that just don't get podcasts. Like they don't understand why you'd want to sit and listen to somebody talk to another person.
I love
for an hour and a half.
podcasts. I don't feel like I
But
listen to them
maybe
enough.
your parents just it's not their thing.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. And my
So it's
parents
not
keep pretty
personal
busy.
that it was you. They
No,
probably
no,
just
and I
were
didn't
like-
take it personal.
Like I have like a job and shit to do. I don't have time to listen to a fucking podcast.
She's like, if I wanted to talk to you, I'd call you. And me and my mom talk on the phone.
Yeah.
enough. Yeah. Sure.
All right. So back to this 8 months in
okay.
not the Congo, the
The DRC. I say Congo short, but Congo's a separate country, right?
Right,
they used to all
right.
be one big
Okay.
split. So I was in the
After you-
DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
That's right. And after you came back, there was essentially it was 8 months there, but you took a year off after high school. You said.
Yeah. I came back and moved back in with my mom, childhood home, because that was, visa was up, had to move back.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think about the fact that you have a time limit. You can be there.
Yeah, we were thinking about extensions and whatnot, but everyone was like traveling as well. So it was going to be like, oh, I have to go now or I'm here for like 5 years was kind of the thing. And
okay.
That was like the next thing. And at the time I was missing my friends too. It was a great
Okay.
experience. I would still love to go back, but coming back was the weird part. I had no culture shock going there. All the culture shock.
You
hit
had
me.
culture shock coming back to your.
I've heard that's a
birthplace.
thing. Yeah.
Really?
Going
Oh,
there,
yeah.
you acclimate so quickly. You become part of it. This is normal. This is like you find the safety and things there. Coming
Wow.
back was the trip of like So the first cultural difference I felt coming back was when you're walking on the streets. Our town was Benny. The town I was in was called Benny.
Okay.
You meet someone's gaze, you look them in the eye, and you smile and you wave, right? Like,
Right.
So you're walking down the street, you're just looking at everyone, right? Everyone's just in the street. You're all looking at each other. I come back. I land in the Detroit International Airport. That's my first landing back in the United States.
We don't do that in America, especially not.
And
Detroit.
I'm walking. I'm walking through the airport, and everyone is grimacing at me, like full frowns, looking at me. And then like I got one guy who came up to me, and can I swear on this?
Fuck yeah!
A guy came up to me and was like, "Fuck off," and I was like, it took me so long to, and I realized I'm looking at everyone dead in the eyes as they're walking by me.
Oh my god!
It wasn't everyone, but everyone was just like avoiding me.
But
like,
it made them uncomfortable.
I was looking at everyone's eyes.
That is such an interesting observation, because now that you say it, you're right. And I don't know what it is about Americans. Probably because we're too busy. We don't have the community that like a place like that does, and everybody is just focused on their own shit.
It was.
And there's probably a lot more to that, but oh my God, you're right. Most Americans.
It was jarring.
Yeah.
And
you didn't even realize you were doing it.
No. I was like, why is everyone so fucking mad?
Why are you guys all so pissed off?
Yeah.
Well, because we're in America.
Well, and now I think about, and the thing is, you adjust rapidly back. You have to. It's like our survival adaptability instincts, right? So immediately I'm like,
well, and again, I'm not saying that it's because we're American. I'm saying it's a different pace of life. There's so much more go, and I have to get shit done, and everything is like last minute. But I have a list of stuff I have to do, and the focus is completely different from the place you just spent 8 months in.
Yeah. Well, and now I think about it. I mean, I've been back for years. Now I'm like, if somebody is staring at me in the eyes, I'm kind of like, what's good? Like, what are we doing? You know,
and what do you want from me?
I'm back on that side of it, and so. It's just that was a very real, tangible cultural difference I felt the moment I set foot back.
So you from Africa, you landed in Detroit, caught a plane back to Portland, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
And then so that's interesting though. That was your culture shock. But even getting back to Portland, and at that time you were living in Vancouver with your mom?
Yeah. My friends.
Was it the same, a little bit of adjustment even in your hometown?
Oh, absolutely. With my closest friends.
Really?
Yeah. And just because imagine just being detoxed from
our society,
every stimulus that's like in your group of friends, right?
Yeah.
Just it's different. You don't have that. I was operating on the adrenaline of totally new experiences and normalizing those, right? So when I come back, I'm now in something that feels incredibly familiar. My friends are talking to me about the same dumb shit, you know. And
he doesn't mean that. All his friends' stuff was very important.
No,
I'm kidding.
I admit, like, I'm talking like we talk about like what video games come out. Like, it's fun for us to talk about, but that's not like I've been off that for how long.
So it did change your perspective.
Yeah, well, and also just what I was interested in. I found out much more. I was able to develop interest based outside of other things other than the echo chambers I was kind of existing in, right?
Yeah.
And so my friends would be talking, and I could easily be like, I don't want to talk about this. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we talking about this? Yeah. And I'm still friends with these guys. Like, we love each other and whatnot. Right. And I just had a really intense growth experience really quickly. And when I came back, I was like, people seem frozen. Like, and
they're the same as when you left.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And for me, I'm like, wait, nobody had a life-changing world traveling experience?
No, we
just
didn't.
Me?
we were stuck here.
So yeah, I recognize my privilege in that, but that was also a shock. And I was like, I have to figure out how to like talk to my friends differently. Like, we're gonna have to find new things we like to do together.
Now, so where does the because I don't remember where the music thing tied in here. Did you start doing? Were you interested in music younger in high school, or did that happen after high school and after you came back from Africa? Were you always like playing guitar or piano or something?
Music started with my mom, I think, really just trying to occupy me. And like, so I started really young, and she's like, "We just need to give you something to do."
Okay, right? That's a healthy thing to do, though.
And that's fun that it's stuck.
Yeah,
I think a lot of parents
totally
give
did.
stuff to their kids, and then they don't necessarily follow through with it. That's it.
Well, so yeah, you like your art that you do. Was that something that you found on your own, or was it encouraged, or you kind of got an influence of it from your parents?
I think I found a passion on it on my own, But my mom did daycare when I was younger, and art supplies was always available. That was like the biggest
so
activity
you were
that we
around
did.
it all the time.
Yeah, and it was always supplied to us, and it was always encouraged. And then later, I kind of like fell off the wagon for a little bit. And then when I revisited later in my life, like middle school, high school time, is when I was like,
Okay.
oh no, I really do enjoy this. This isn't just a pastime that
But
I get to do.
since you were exposed to it at a very young age, and since you have an aptitude for it, you were like, oh yeah, that's
oh
awesome.
no, this is fun. Like I really
Yeah.
do enjoy it. Yeah. And me and my older brother both do it. My younger brother not so much. He didn't really, but then he also missed the daycare stage in my mom's career. So I have to wonder if maybe that did play a part in it, like subconsciously, like, oh, I did this when I was younger and now I can do it again. But yeah, no, it is something I really enjoy.
Since our last podcast, I want to know if you have figured out the definition. Can you tell me what an NFT is? Remember, we talked
Oh,
about
we
it.
did.
Because
No.
I don't understand NFTs. I don't understand how people make money off them.
I think
Maybe
they're kind of a
Chance knows
joke.
something about it.
And also,
'Cause I know what
I
it's-
told Heather I wouldn't mansplain on this podcast.
No, I think you should.
No,
if you
mansplain
know
to
what
me,
they are.
not to
yeah.
Heather. Do it to me.
Um,
Because we were talking about it, and I was like, you create digital art, but somehow somebody buys it, even though you can. How do you protect
It's
from
like
somebody just copying it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people got really psyched about the potential of it, right? So
Right.
NFT stands for
Non-fungible
yeah
token.
token.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's the same way in like Bitcoin's protected, right?
Is it really though? I don't know.
I mean,
No, because I've seen people save people's like NFT and then just be
well-
like, "This is mine now."
well, and also
So
the whole
the
cryptocurrency thing is kind of on touchy ground now, isn't it? But I don't.
well,
I don't
that's
know.
just because I think is like a volatile market. That's what I think it is.
Well, and that
right?
can happen to
The
the regular stock
technology
market.
works though.
Oh,
The tech-
does it? I don't know. I don't know much
yeah,
about it.
I think so. I mean, I don't have any Bitcoin. I don't have any NFTs.
That's why we have to have Catabog on here, but he respectively declined to be on the podcast. But Catabog knows about it.
Yeah.
I don't.
The main thing is that it's like traceable to like an original. Like you own. Imagine a key. Like there's just one key, right? And you can sell that, and it's like people can take pictures of that as much as they want. But there's
But
going
I
to be
think
one key.
why it's hard to understand is a key is a physical item, an NFT is not. It's not
Well,
physical.
just imagine like it as just imagine it as physical. Like it's the same
But
concept. It
what
doesn't
gives
exist
it
digitally.
value? Because it's not physical.
But okay, so people change values of them. A lot of people auction of like, hey, this one's worth this much because we think it's going to go up. People also add other packages like, hey, if you own this, like you get access to like these restaurants or something, right?
Okay.
It can come with other things that people.
So it's
package it
almost
with.
more of a service industry thing than a physical. You're not owning a physical thing, even though I
No.
guess you can have a physical copy of it on your hard drive.
You probably
I
own
wouldn't
the
count
most
that. I know
original
what you're
file of
saying. Yeah.
it in the best like quality that it exists.
Because every time you copy a file, it gets worse, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Whether it's music or images. Every time
Yeah,
you
I
copy
don't know
that
if
file,
that-
it degrades a little bit.
Right, but it's not like. I don't think you're gonna see that if like somebody like let's say somebody just did a doodle and wants to sell it as an NFT.
Oh,
they put
right,
it to
right.
it. Somebody takes a screenshot.
It would
to
probably
it.
take several thousand copies to notice a change in the image.
Yeah, if you even would.
Yeah.
But again, that's not gonna like derail the value of the original, right? Because people will
So
package
maybe
it
that
with
was
other
the
stuff.
question me and Heather were
That's
trying
my-
to figure out is
Again,
what,
I don't
what
know
give-
these answers.
What,
I'm kinda
what gives
guessing.
an NFT value? Is it is
Whoever
it,
wants to buy
is it just like the stock market where it's literally perception? If enough people want it, it has value. If
That's-
nobody wants it, it crashes.
That's just everything, in my opinion. Like your house is worth as much as you can get someone to buy it, right?
Well, I guess, but I almost feel like the like America used to be on the gold standard, and the reason gold and diamonds and shit have value is because they're so rare, and you can't recreate them.
Well, you can also control the demand.
How? Because you can't manufacture gold.
Oh,
There is as much gold on the planet as there's ever going to be. You can't manufacture.
see,
it.
I'm on the verge of like talking about things I really don't know a lot about, but I'm really passionate about.
Then
and
I
I'm
wanna
gonna
hear
make-
it.
I want to make myself.
I'm gonna
look
refill
like a
my beer
fool.
and I wanna hear
You know
it.
what I mean? Though it's like we could get into this, but I know nothing about this subject.
I can.
I think there's more than enough diamonds in the world. That's what I was gonna get at.
Sometimes I feel that way about like salt and other rocks. I'm like, are we gonna run out sometime? I think the sun will probably explode before that happens.
In our lifetime, you think?
Not in our lifetime. I've been to school. No, the sun is gonna explode in like 1 billion years. I just think that like we'll have enough salt until then.
The sun's gonna explode within the next billion years.
Yeah,
That could be this year.
the sun's not gonna explode this year.
Oh shit! What did I just walk into? 'Cause I'm actually kind
Heather's
of
worried about the world running out of salt.
We're talking about
That's what she's worried about.
I'm so glad I walked back into that.
we're talking about limited resources, and when I was younger, I was like, oh, if there's only this many rocks in the world, like, and it came down to like salt or something like that, I was like, oh, does that mean we're gonna run out? Just like you guys were talking about gold, it's on the same page. I didn't stray too far. But then I decided that probably the sun's gonna explode before that.
No, it's going to be
happens.
around for at least a couple billion more years. I
Yeah,
believe,
and
at
salt
least.
probably will be too, or else our
yes.
food's just gonna really suck. But
Well, but you also have to realize that nothing in the universe, nothing disappears. It just either transitions its form, gets recycled, and it changes locations. But I mean, every time a meteor hits the Earth, you know, we gain some shit, and then, I mean, to tell you the truth, nothing. It's almost a closed system, the Earth's environment, for
Yeah.
the most part, except for maybe whatever's in the upper atmosphere. And
like one
again,
big
I'm not a
ecosystem.
fucking geologist or a scientist, but
Oh.
everything just changes form and gets recycled and then hopefully recreated, and it goes through this whole process, which is why we've been here for. Well, I don't want to offend anybody. It's been more than 6,000 years, but
I'm leaving.
You know, actually,
he's
I
out.
have to go
Turn the
too.
podcast
Chance is
off.
going home.
These aren't our people. Turn the podcast off. I'm kidding.
I know you are.
If my
but
friend
you-
Abby comes back from the Peace Corps, I think she would love to be on here. She'd have a lot to tell you.
When is she coming back?
2 more years.
2 more years? Yeah, she left in March, so
Just in time for me to blow up and be as big as Joe Rogan. So in 2 years,
Hey.
I'll actually have an audience. No.
Dude, it's the season of manifestation.
make it happen.
Expand on that.
No, you're just like you're putting it out there. It's gonna happen.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, yeah, it even took Rogan longer than 2 years. But and again, I am not trying to. Me and Heather talked about this. It's a passion project. I'm not trying to get famous. I'm not even trying to make money off it. I just actually enjoy talking to people and hearing their
Hey,
stories.
this is very enjoyable. I'm having a great time.
Now you lying? Because now I can't tell you guys have been fucking with each other and me for 3 days. So
No, it's very enjoyable. No, but what I meant by manifestation is just like just bringing those ideas like out of the ether and into something tangible, right? So this summer
Yeah.
I've really just been really focused on making more definitive decisions and doing things, and I've really booked myself a lot, but I've been doing cool things with cool people, and it's just
Yeah.
once you allow, like, you open up and you put that
open
out
up
there,
to
like
new
how big could
to
it
new
get?
experiences.
You're like, how big could it get? And then it just starts happening.
And it is kind of funny how just in the last, because trying to remember my first podcast was with my mother-in-law. That was several months ago, but like I love the fact that, and you guys probably know this. I reach out for every 10 people I reach out to and ask about being on the podcast. I get maybe 1 or 2 that actually does it. So I was like super excited because I was like, Heather, good, you
Yeah.
awesome sweetheart. I'd worked with you enough, and I've seen you outside, like at Adam's birthday. You were there,
Yes,
or Adam's
yeah.
wife's birthday, but I've and even
Yes.
other times. I was like, she just seems like an interesting, fun person. I was like, I'm gonna take a shot and just ask her, and she actually did it.
Yes.
Because
well,
so many people say, sure, that'd be fun, and then when I try to nail them down for a time, it never happens.
Scheduling's the hardest part.
scheduling's the hardest part, but I love doing new things. And I was like, oh my gosh, when am I ever like? One, I've never been asked to be on a podcast before, and like, when is that ever gonna happen again? I don't know. So like, why would I say no
It
to
was
that?
super exciting.
Yeah.
And again, we sat down for a little over an hour, and I learned so much about you that I
Yeah.
had no clue of. It was awesome. Great conversation. So that was just a random, like you're talking about, manifest or open your mind to possibilities. I took a shot, and it worked out. Then I don't even know how.
I'm on here.
No. Yeah, which
'Cause all your friends
thank
bailed
God.
on
This
you.
is going to be the most watched episode ever because Chance is here. But now
I'm still
trying.
waiting for
Fun
you to reach
chance.
out for me to be on the podcast. Good.
Jesus. It's not going to happen now. You're always going to be with somebody else I actually booked, and you're going to be the tag along.
I'll be
But
the permanent DD.
I am seriously trying to remember because we first got connected because I something about the fact that
You-
Alex was doing
you
what
and
he's
I?
doing. Yeah, but how did I end up
It was at Adam and Coda's
at
birthday
the same
party.
place? It
Yes.
was at Adam's wife's
Yeah.
birthday where I
Literally
guess
the first time
that
you
was
and
the
I
first
had a
time we'd actually
conversation
talked outside of
long-
work. and that must have been somehow because it was my DJ system that he was using. Maybe that's
Oh yeah,
why
the karaoke system.
maybe that's why we started talking about music.
I forgot about that.
Remember? That was all my
Yeah.
shit that he borrowed.
I was like, hey, is that all your shit?
yes, that's how we started talking about
We
it.
sang "Sweet Caroline" together, right? That was you.
I'm sure you did, but I couldn't stay late.
I did the Space Jam.
No,
theme
I sang
song.
it with you. We sang a song
Oh, we
together.
did. I'm
yes,
sorry. We did.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we did before I left.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Only
that's
time
what
I
it was.
karaoke.
I think I was like, yeah, that's my stuff. And then I just mentioned I used to DJ, but now I'm retired, but I occasionally run sound for people. That must have been how we started talking. And then I must have told you about my daughter's fiance, Alex, that what he's done here. And you were like, and I was serious, but people say shit like that all the time and they don't follow up. But I was serious about it. I was like, hey, if you're into it, I'd love you to see the space. And it took some starts and stops, but eventually you and your friend that came over the first time, I forgot his name.
Dylan.
You and Dylan met me here on a Tuesday when I was house sitting for them. Showed you the space. You guys obviously were very comfortable down there. You just start grabbing instruments off the wall and plugging in. It was great. I loved it.
Probably a little rude of us, but we
I
were ready.
loved that you were that comfortable in that space. That's what I wanted. And then obviously you came back for the party July 1st. But
Now
yeah,
I'm here for this party.
yeah, this is the most happening party ever. We don't even need fireworks to be cool. But no, that's kind of what I was talking about. I love just putting yourself out there and just making connections and taking chances and opportunities.
Well, and I think it's crazy that you guys had worked together for 3-4 years, like in the same building.
Yeah.
Almost there. Probably you're both full time. And then
There's still people. that I
yeah, and
haven't
it
met at
took
Costco.
that long for you guys to have a conversation and realize, oh my goodness, we have things in common.
Well, because Adam's wife's birthday, Coda. I'll give you a name, Coda. So
Yeah, she's gonna be
you have
pissed.
you have your own identity.
Adam's
You
wife.
almost had me do it earlier too.
I know.
We're like, oh,
Coda,
we know
you
her
are
name.
your own person. You're a strong, independent woman.
She'll love to hear that.
But that was the first time that I had seen Chance outside of work.
Yeah.
That's why
You
we were
know,
actually
that's
able to talk.
I was not social at work ever
Yeah.
until a couple years ago. Like throughout my whole life, work and my personal life were 100% separate. I had big walls and
But
boundaries.
I remember now that we talked about some of that stuff, when you first started at Costco, were you still doing the music teaching in Gresham?
Yes, so that all started around.
You had a
the same
lot
time.
of stuff going on.
I was doing a lot when I was part time at Costco. And then COVID is what crushed. Once COVID happened,
That's right.
teaching group lessons, I was not
Had
at the
to go
point,
away.
I was not at the point where I was like, I can't figure this out right now, especially because it was free to the kid. Like, it just
Yeah.
got away from us, and so then I went full time at Costco and went the
Okay.
supervisor route there.
That's right.
Yeah, and recently switching it up, hopefully to get back towards that because I was really.
But does
fulfilling.
Heather, do you know about his time in Bellingham when he had a band?
Yeah, no, I've heard
Okay.
bits about it. Didn't you move down here in hopes to start something, and then
Oh,
someone
that's a great
like
story.
didn't follow through? You've told me
yeah, I mean,
briefly.
it's
But you were in a band in Bellingham, and
I was
were
in several
you
bands in
were you up there for college, right?
Yeah, so I just got back from my time abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed with my mom for a couple months, and an old friend who I only knew from summer camps. So I'd seen her once a year from our teenage years.
Okay.
She was just in town. Her parents had just moved to Vancouver, and so we hung out. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm moving up to Bellingham," and jokingly offered me like a room. And I'm a very literal person, so I said, "Deal." Right? No, but it was great. And I moved up there. It was a house. So I was 19. Moved up to Bellingham in a house with a bunch of senior female students, right? Because she was older, and she's like, "You can
Oh.
come live in our house with us."
So she was going through into her senior year.
I think so, junior or senior year.
Okay.
I think they had a couple. Yeah. I only lived with them for 1 year, but I was in like a closet in the basement. It was it was like an outdoor room,
But it was
attached
probably
to the backyard.
affordable.
Yeah, I mean, more affordable than my apartment now, for sure.
Yeah.
But I had I had a twin bed along the wall, my computer right next to it, and then it was wall to wall. So all I could fit is my twin bed in my room, and to hang up my clothes, there was no closet, cupboards, anything like that. I took
Like a shower
I
curtain
took a
rod.
shower rod across the ceiling, and I had all
That's
my
awesome.
clothes hanging above my bed and my computer, and I still had my amps and guitars and drum set in the corner on the other
Okay,
side.
so at this point, you already had guitars and music equipment. You were doing music, but you had never been in a band.
No. I mean, I had done music in school and stuff, so I've played music with people in a variety of settings. Like, I was in an orchestra for a while, but I had never done an original project. Let's get a group together, regular rehearsals. I went to the community college, Whatcom Community College, and that's where I met Dylan, the gentleman you were talking about.
Oh, right.
And I was in music theory 101, and I absolutely flunked it because...
I just think that's crazy. So you took a music class and you flunked it.
Yeah.
I took an art class in high school and I hated it. It almost made me be like, "What? This sucks." Actually.
I mean, my middle school and high school was an art school, right? And
yeah.
So I'm going there, and I'm coming off the high of like traveling abroad with a one-on-one mentorship. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking I've got it all figured out at 19, right? And so I go in and I'm only focused on developing like my own musical skills. But I know like I'm interested in music. I'm like, I should take some classes in music theory, and it's music theory 101. So we're going over the major scale. And I've played piano since I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And I was dying in that class, man. And I just because I was so bored, like I didn't want.
So was it too structured, or was it too elementary stuff you already knew?
It was just stuff that I had already known and spent a lot of time with in my classical training when I was younger. Yeah. But I will say the teacher, Melanie, is absolutely amazing. I just love her to death, but because she put up with a lot. I would go to the bathroom, air quotes for those who aren't watching.
Right. Everybody's going to be watching.
Yeah. And I would go out, and because what I memorized, I didn't know what room my classes were in, but I knew what rooms at the school had pianos, and I knew the schedules for those individual rooms. So I knew when each of those was open. So one of them was open during my music.
So you would go to
class.
the bathroom, air quotes, and find a piano room.
Yes, and I would go there. And one of them was like on the stage, so I would go, and I could just, then my class was like, I wanted to do music class, I'm just going to play music, right? Really disrespectful way to go to school.
But you weren't doing it from a mean-spirited place.
No, but it got, the teacher, eventually Melanie, came in, because it had been going on all semester. Yeah. She came in and she's like, here's the deal. We hear you every fucking time. Like, it's right next door. And you play for like 20 minutes and you come back, you sit for 30, and then you leave again. And God. The piano starts again.
That's so funny.
Isn't that super cool though?
She was awesome. And then she actually created her own class, which was not theory based, but ensemble. And so what that was, musicians get together, you guys pick what project you do, we help build it up, and then we do a big showcase.
Okay.
So that was actually much more in line, and that's how Dylan and I met and got tight. And then we realized, like, oh, we just want to play music. We don't have to do that at school. Right. And so then it goes from there, and then somebody knows somebody, you find a drummer, ton of musicians up in that area, people who are well trained from like their past and whatnot. And
okay.
So, it picked up quick.
But you started doing some gigs. I mean, did you guys, what was it like trying to find a rehearsal space?
I just put it in my house wherever I was. Wow, and I got really chilled roommates, and I had a wonderful house in Bellingham. Used to be in the 50s or 40s. It was a grocery store, and they remodeled it.
So it was big.
Oh, that's
it was
sick.
Huge, and they remodeled it and turned it into a house. It had a sunken living room, 2-story high ceilings.
Oh, that's the dream.
And my roommates at the time were like, I said, here's the deal. I have 2 bands going right now.
There's going to be some practice done.
And
here.
it's like, and basically the way we did it is like Sundays are music days in the house. So like 10 to 10 on Sundays, just expect there to be music going. And it wasn't always the case. And if you keep it conversational and just listen to people, you make exceptions for each other, and it's great. I think at one time I went and I said, here's the deal. We got to do a flash rehearsal before a gig. I gave my roommates like $40 and I said, please take each other out to dinner.
That's cool though.
Yeah. So it was really cool. And people came, we had some house shows there that started really small, and then the last one was really big.
Kind of like what Alex does here, like house shows, literally.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It was very fun, and I had no shame in just putting everything I had out there, right? And so that was fun, and it brought really cool people to me. And then eventually, members of one of the group were like, hey, what if we tried a different city, right? And I'd always wanted to move and live in Portland.
Okay.
And so she was a singer. She, convinced me, and then I convinced the group, and we...
That's how you ended up back down here. Yeah. And what year is this?
Must have been 2017.
Okay. So shortly before Costco, like literally right before Costco.
Yeah. So like 2017, and I came down early, found us a place to live that we could put the band house in again.
Okay. In Portland proper, or like a suburb?
No, so we did in Vancouver because it was cheaper at the time.
Okay.
She lived in Portland, but the other musicians lived. They put like they put the relationships on long distance. One of our players like dropped out of college senior year to come play with us.
So
like, people were making like
the people in the band were making some serious commitments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We had really lofty goals, and we were really confident, and we're working on them.
And you were doing guitar? What were you doing in the band?
Guitar and piano.
And backing vocals, and she was the singer?
I'm a terrible singer. I will not.
I don't believe that's true. We're going to find out after the podcast, because before you all leave, we're going to go downstairs, and I'm going to make him sing.
I'm not going to sing. I'm not going to sing. But, yeah, and then, you know, we thought we were working on some really cool stuff. We were getting into a flow of it. Again, I was working nights at the time. That was the job I got down here, so I was...
Well, where were you working then?
I was a manager at Safeway.
In Vancouver?
Washougal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
okay, yeah.
Close. Yeah. But about 6 months in, we had a really hard conversation, and she came to the group and said, I don't want to do music anymore. 6 months
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Devastating. Wish her the best, love her to death. The time was really hard, and of course it's hard for everyone involved, right? It's like everyone understood the scope of what we were planning and what had just happened. I think I unnecessarily so took on a lot of the personal responsibility, because now I had these two musicians living with me, and we had this whole plan and project plan.
And it just kind of went out the window.
And when you lose vocals, like that's a really hard one to lose.
Yeah, and so I just isolated and started like pumping out music, because that's where I was at, right? So I was like, I got to give these guys material. You know what I mean?
Were you then actively searching for a singer to replace her?
We eventually, one of our drummer knew a singer, and he was like, I'm just going to throw it out there. Let's just have him move in right away. Yeah. Fill the other room and just start. And he did. We tried it out, and it worked, and we got a record with him. He lived in the house for like a year and stuff.
That's cool.
Produced our own record and all that, and then that group imploded, and now...
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the story of most bands, and yeah, I mean, until they either make it or not. But yeah, there's a lot of stops and starts.
And hindsight's 20/20, right? We were young, we didn't know what we were doing, and you know, we have people that are in long-term relationships, long-distance relationships, like there's so much like
ancillary stuff that affects what's going on.
And it's hard when your central home is around this like ideal project, right? Because then when you're there, there's still that feeling of, oh, should we all be working right now?
I was going to say there is something about any artist, whether it's artwork like Heather's doing or musicians. It's very time consuming, and it takes a lot of mental focus and energy, and you have to find that balance if you want to have any kind of outside relationships, or if you have a family or whatever. Yeah, it's tough, man.
Well, and trying to develop a relationship at the same time as you're trying to build.
Oh, God, you can't. I mean, that's. I guess maybe somebody did it, but that maybe one person has done it, but that's really hard.
Well, and also, you know, we're in our early 20s. We're fucking around, you know, just having a good time. We don't know how to develop it properly,
because your frontal lobe is not developed, right?
Exactly.
Thanks, Mom.
And so, unfortunately, we had to learn all those lessons together.
Yeah.
Right? But now, like, everyone's still tight. We all still talk to each other, and that's like what really. I would only regret something if like relationships were lost.
If it ended badly, and they're all kind of still in the area.
Yeah, generally. Okay. Friend in Denver. I went and saw him last summer.
Right on.
People are around. I'm pretty good at checking up on people. If people feel like they're in my circle, I want them to feel that more.
Right. Yeah. Heather, you okay?
He's pretty good at it. Yeah.
Your eyes are getting droopy.
Oh, no, I'm good. Sorry, I was looking outside. It's getting dark.
Okay. I know, and before I started, I was like, I know the sun might start going down.
Yes.
I have that lamp
What time
that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a
9:23.
more lights in here. So, except for that one.
But
no,
I think this is good. This is good.
So we can actually wrap up the podcast, because I am gonna make him go down there and play.
Okay.
Before you all leave, I just want you to hear. Has she heard you play?
I heard him play piano today.
No, like
I think that's the first
through
time
a sound system, a proper PA.
No, never.
I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, I'd like you to hear him play. He's pretty awesome. So we're probably gonna have to do this again. Give me a fist bump, because we had to cut this off, and our so-called friends, air quote, dished us tonight.
Can I say their names now?
You absolutely can. I'm not going to, but it's fine.
I'll just
don't call out the one that I was trying to book.
I'm just going to say Dylan, because we talked about him. I was
Dylan, we can fuck with Dylan. Dylan, we love you, man. Just messing with you. You're always welcome here. So, but let's leave the other names out.
I feel like I talk too much.
That's funny. That's what people say about me. It's like, Ken, will you just shut the fuck up?
But they don't say it when you put a microphone in front of your face, right? Because then it like fits.
It does. God, then I'm in my element.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pause or stop it. Ow, ow.
Hijacked your podcast, Heather. Sorry.